Okay, now that you've got your tub in and your drain all done, next is going to be your shower valve and bathtub stem. How you go about doing that is, buy a package kit that's got all your accessories. Roughly decide where your stuff is got to go, and then we're going to solder. We're going to attach a fitting up here, which this threads into. Solder copper pipe down to the shower valve itself. Out of the bottom of the shower valve goes for your tub stem, and here's my hot line and here's my cold line. When I go through this setup, I'm going to show how to use PEX and PEX fittings. I'm going to show copper soldering through this shower stem and the bathtub stem, and I'm going to show Teflon tape and threaded fittings to connect the PEX into the sides of the shower valve. Now we're going to get our shower assembly set up. This is typical valve that would be hidden behind the wall in your house. I'm just going to fit all the pieces together for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So the handle would be on the front there, obviously turning the hot and cold water on. Out of the bottom of the valve would go to your tub spout, and out of the top of your valve would go to your shower head. I'm going to go through the steps required to solder together this unit so that we can mount it back into the wall and have an operational shower head and bathtub stem. So with my shower valve, the bottom stem that leads to the bathtub and the top stem that leads to the shower head, I'm going to be using copper 1/2 inch line. Copper 1/2 inch line is going to be attached into here using solder and flux. To do so, you need to start by cutting your pieces to length, which I've already got cut. I've got a piece here that I wanted to show you at home how I did get this cut. I've got here a tube cutter, quite easy to use. You fit it into the grooves here, tighten down on your pipe, just finger tight, and start turning. So you do one full turn, and then you turn it a quarter turn on the knob. One full turn, quarter turn. What the quarter turn does is threads this tighter, creating this little groove that's in the pipe itself. Eventually it'll just get so deep and shear off. So quarter turn, full turn, quarter turn, full turn, quarter turn, and there you go. Quite easy to cut. Another method is to use a hacksaw, cutting it by hand. It's not a preferred method. This is quite an inexpensive tool at your local hardware store to get. It makes a very clean cut, which definitely helps when you're fitting into these fittings to have a square piece so that you're getting nice contact with your pipe. Okay, so start again with my shower valve. They're quite often marked where the top is. This one says up is here, so I know that's leading to the shower head, and again down would be leading to the bath. So I'm going to set my shower valve on a piece of wood block so that I don't light my table on fire. And here's all my pieces that I'm going to use. To prep these pieces to be ready for solder, this factory sheen that's on the copper pipe needs to be sanded off. So you get a emery cloth oxide, aluminum oxide sandpaper, set it on about 3/4 of an inch, and rub off that rub off that sheen, and you basically want to see lots of lines and, you know, grit instead of the nice polished pipe. So I'm going to do that on each end of these pipes. Again, now looking at these finished pipes, you can see that I've got the polished copper rubbed off on each end. That will help with the solder adhering the pipes together. With the fittings, you can't really get sandpaper inside there, so you need a wire brush. That fits into the fitting, and of course, then you can just spin it, and what that's doing is just scratching up the inside, getting it ready for the soldering as well. I'm going to do that same thing to the valve itself. Okay, so now that you've got your fittings and your copper pipes prepped by rubbing the polished edges off, next step is to use some flux on the pipe fittings. What flux does is when you're soldering, it draws the solder deep into the fitting rather than just staying at the surface. So it acts like kind of like a vacuum to make sure that you're fully fitting everything, or fully filling it with the solder, which will ensure a non-leaky joint. There we go. Once you've got your flux and, well, your sanding done and your flux on, you can begin to dry fit all the pieces together. That way you're not just soldering one thing at a time, which would obviously be a little more time consuming. Again, you're going to want to look for the part that says up, so you know that, you know, you're not putting the bottom piece in the top and the top piece in the bottom. All right. Put this away. Okay, after dry fitting your pieces together, you're going to want to make sure that this is in line with this and in line with this. If you have a straight edge board, you can use that. You could use a level. I prefer just to use my eye coming down to the edge, sighting down. And I can see here that this is in line with this, but this stem needs to just come over a touch. All right, so that's looking good. Okay, now that we've checked the line of all our joints, our dry fit looks pretty good. Our flux is in each of these joints, and all our joints have been sanded. Going to use this lead-free solder. Lead-free solder is what you want to use in a residential application for any water that might get into a human body. You definitely want to make sure you've got lead-free solder. What I'm going to do is use my propane torch, heat up the joint, just so I can see that the solder is getting warm and the pipe is getting hot. I'm going to take my lead-free solder, touch it here, and bring it around. And that flux is going to suck that solder in to the depth that we've got the pipe in the fitting. You want to see a nice cone on your flame. That's obviously the hottest part of the flame. Come into the fitting. As you can see, solder is kind of getting nice and hot. Or sorry, the flux is getting hot. All right. Just make sure you got it all the way around the pipe. Now when you're doing this, your solders are not going to be nice at first. They're going to be bubbly and blistery. That is okay, just as long as you make sure that you have got enough solder on there that it went down into the pipe. And now I'm going to proceed with the next. Going to clean up these solders on the underside. All right. 2 done. All right, now you've got your 5 solder joints all ready to go. So with your solders complete, you're now ready to attach fittings for here. If you were doing copper lines through your whole house, you would do the same. In this house in particular, it's all PEX water lines, which is a plastic water line They use fittings and rings to crimp on. To get set up for that on the valve, I need to attach these two fittings, the left on the hot water and the right on the cold water. Now with threaded type fittings, you can't just fit those on and tighten them up and be good. Water will still come out. You need to use Teflon tape. Teflon tape is really thin kind of plastic Teflon material. How you go about doing this is you've got to wrap it around the threaded portion of the fitting in a clockwise manner. And once you get it started, it's a little tricky to get the first wrap. Once you get it started, you need to go for 3 full wraps. So that's 2. Break that off. And that was 3. The reason you wrap this in a clockwise motion is because that's the same direction you're going to be applying the fitting on. If you put it in a counterclockwise, you will be loosening the Teflon tape as you're applying your fitting. Okay, so that's the Teflon tape prep. Now you can finger tight on your fittings. There we go. Okay, now I've got those finger tight. Use channel locks. Nice grip on that. And don't be scared to tighten these really tight. Okay, one done. All right. So that's the finished shower valve, ready to be assembled into the wall. Hot line coming into the left side, cold line coming into the right, and multi-function knob to control both of the flows. Now that you've got your finished shower valve with your shower stem and bathtub stem, you're ready to mount it into the wall, something like this. But again, we've got to come up with our 15-inch measurement off the studding so that the shower head, the valve, the tub stem line up with the overflow and the drain. So I'm going to proceed with using my square, measuring off the studding, and got my 15-inch mark.
Just pause there. Just run through that one more time.
Yep.
You don't have to talk, just.
Okay. That's my center line for the shower valve. I'm going to mark the same up here on for the shower head. Got my 15-inch mark there. Little tick. Square it down and center line. Now you got your shower stem ready to go. Got your center lines marked. Going to proceed with installing that to the backing. place this on my center, screw. Okay, good and tight. Move up to the top. Get that on the center line. All right, so shower assembly installed. Next we're going to attach this PEX water line into our threaded fitting. Hot on the left, cold on the right. Okay, so we're going to start by marking our PEX line. This is PEX ring right here with a stopper to stop the water. This line is full of water. It has been pressurized before, and this obviously stops the water from coming out. We have shut off the water to the house. I'm going to cut this. It's going to drain the rest of the water that's in the line. I'm going to hook it up to here with one of these rings on it, and I'm going to use the special crimper to crimp the ring down, and we should have a nice, secure, tight fit. So that is marking where I'm going to cut that one. Now, to be on the safe side, always cut it longer and shave it down after if you need to. This is a special cutter designed to cut this PEX line. So you line up with where you want to hit and you simply squeeze. And there's the extra water going down our finished drain. Now these old pieces and stuff like that, do not ever reuse them. They cannot be reused. This is just definitely a garbage piece. All right, so that's drained all out. Want to grab one of your PEX rings, slip it on ahead of time. Now the idea with these rings that you can see here with the finished product is just to be back from the edge about an 1/8 of an inch. So when I set this ring on, I'm back 1/8 of an inch. I'm fit tight against my fitting, and that there is ready to be crimped. These are the crimpers. This hole is for a 1/2 inch line, which is what we're using. This hole is for a 3/4 inch line. Open it up. Put it on the center of your fitting and simply compress it. They lock down right tight. And that is a sealed, finished water line. So I'm going to do the same with the hot. Then we'll be ready to repressurize the house. Then I want to fill this bathtub to test the drain and make sure everything was done properly. And finish mounting it in accurately, and we should be all done. A little less than that one. So again, your PEX ring over your pipe. Fit it on nice and tight. Back the ring 1/8 of an inch. It's your special crimpers. Put that on center. And there you go. Okay, so this is all nice and secure. This is leaking because the valve is open right now. Okay, now that we've got our PEX lines hooked up, I've repressurized the system. Hot on the left, you can feel it, it's nice and warm. Cold on the right. Just want to do some testing. Instead of bringing in the actual hardware that finishes, you could use a pair of pliers. Don't wreck the end of it, but you can do some testing. So that's all working good. Most valves, this one, will give you a protective cover, protect all this while construction is going on. So just slide that on. This fits on over top. And there you go, all protected. Okay, so now we're going to work on our shower valve. Just your standard shower valve. I'm going to use Teflon tape and copper threaded fittings to go on all the ends so that I can come off with my PEX up to, or down to the water supply and up to the shower stem. So right now I've just got to figure out where I'm going to locate all this stuff. You can see here, this is the old setup that was here. For the old tub that was in here, this stud was always in the way for them to be able to put this shower valve dead center, or bath valve dead center. So technically this shower valve that was existing has always been out of line. Now I'm using a 32-inch shower base. The drain is 16 inches to center. So I want my valve to be 16 inches and I want my shower stem to be 16 inches. So measuring off the wall here, I could put a tick mark of 16. I'm going to put it top and bottom. You can see here I've added some backing prior to this just so that I could speed it up. Now up here I'm going to measure that same 16. That should keep my shower stem, shower valve, and drain all right in line. So to start this process, I got my shower stem with the 3 holes in it. Just gonna attach that at the top. Okay, so that's perfect. Now I'm going to work on my valve. So again, because we're not using the bottom one to go to a bath, I'm just going to put a cap on it, run a little PEX with a stop on it. So just prep this valve. So I got my Teflon tape. I like to go 3 wraps in a counterclockwise position. Two. 3. Okay, so I've got my 4 nipples on there. Just going to take my channel locks. Really tighten down on these. Okay, got all my 4 things Teflon taped on and tightened. So now I'm going to mount my shower valve. Before I do that, I can see that this is going to be a tight problem to fit in my PEX piece, so I'm just going to put that stopper on ahead of time. Making sure that this is the top. Put that on there. Okay, shower valve's nice and solid. Okay, so now I've got my old bathtub faucet cut out. I've got these copper lines here. Used my sandpaper, cleaned off the pipe quite well. Nice flush cut with a tube cutter. Also done with the same. On the other side, I've got these 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch push fittings. What I'm going to do here is mark a line to the depth that the manufacturer has suggested to push this fitting on, and you simply run it down up into your line, and then I can run the PEX out the end up to the shower valve. So here we are. I've got all my stuff prepped. Got the other side. Okay, so push fittings are on. Now I'm just going to measure up my PEX lines from my new, or from my water supplies up to my shower valve, and then I'm ready to turn the water back on. Okay, so now that the plumbing is all finished, we've turned the water back on. I'm just checking all my PEX joints and my push fitting joint just to make sure that nothing's leaking. Appears to be in good working order. I've got this stud cut out so that I've got my valve center of the drain and the shower center all center.